As most of you know, the Earth is slowly dying. The resources on Earth have a limited lifespan, and as our population grows exponentially, our demand for these resources increases at the same rate. The Earth is responding by adapting its environment. These changes are natural, but we are expediting them and forcing the Earth into a state that hurts both the world we live in and ourselves. The United States recycling rate is very low. According to Recycle Across America's Executive Director, Mitch Headland, currently the U.S. recycling rate is at 34.5%. According to the World Resources Institute, 100 species die each day due to tropical deforestation. The average global sea level is expected to rise 7 to 23 inches before the end of this century. The Arctic region may have its first completely ice-free summer by 2040. Using recycled paper for 1 day's worth of the New York Times Sunday edition would save approximately 75,000 trees. A plant called the rosy periwinkle, which is grown in the rainforests of Madagascar, has been used to make a drug that can cure some kinds of cancer. Imagine all the other miracles we may have already lost out on. All this said, there is hope. People like you are making changes. Recycling can have a huge impact on your ecological footprint, both at a personal and a global level. If the US gets its recycling number up to 75%, which we believe is completely possible once the confusion over what to place in the bins is removed, it will be the CO2 equivalent of removing 50 million cars from the road each year in the United States.
I think it's a really, really interesting idea that you could do something university-wide where all students could be invited to think about sustainability and how they could change their behaviors. You know, especially if you think that it's not enough to learn about sustainability, but if you can actually do something, you know, then it really penetrates.
I think it is. That's definitely something that people aren't introduced to as early on in life as they should be. People aren't aware of what can and cannot be recycled and how much of an impact that could have on the environment. So yeah, definitely.
So I think every student coming out of Delaware should have a vocabulary and understanding of basic sustainability principles. So I think that's wonderful.
I think that would actually be really cool. I also think it would be cool if we could get freshmen out. I know they have a few volunteer options to go clean up a park or something, but I think it would be cool if we could get hands-on experience with it.
I think it's a good push. I think students are generally not necessarily that plugged in to the sustainability issues.
Oh yeah, I'd definitely be in favor of that. I think that would have been nice. I wish I had that.
There are a couple of student organizations right now that students can get involved with, Students for the Environment particularly. There's a Green Liaisons group. They have lunchtime speakers and students can start participating in those as freshmen, so I highly encourage people to get involved right from the start. I think the university is always interested in the students' opinion around sustainability. We had some students who were interested in looking at plastic water bottles or refilling stations. So I think there's a plethora of different options for students to get involved.
I have seen improvements in like the recycling effort because, like we were just talking about, I didn't know what could and couldn't be recycled or not, and what would be sent to the landfill. So I just found out that you can't recycle a pizza box. But I've seen like the ICE lab; they've made efforts to show you like pictures of what you kind of can't put in, as well as Perkins. I'd say, like my dorm doesn't have recycling on my floor, which I think would be very helpful for us because we put a lot of stuff in the trash cans and that just gets sent right to the dumpsters. So I think that could be improved.
Well, I think we're growing. I think that awareness is growing a lot. There's a lot more we could do, but I think that the awareness is growing, and when students like you become active, that's really key because that's what helps things to be pervasive.
I think they're moving in that direction. I would say, I wouldn't consider them to be a leader in academia when it comes to sustainability, but they hired Michelle Bennett as sustainability coordinator, and my interactions with the vice president for facilities, etc., he's definitely committed to it.
One of the biggest things we actually did several years ago was several students worked to propose that we actually have a sustainability manager on campus to look out for more on the overall use of energy, conservation, dealing with food waste and other things. So that all resulted in the hiring of Michelle Bennett. So that position was created largely out of the task force, and we're very pleased to have Michelle here working on those things. So she works out of facilities. Students have looked at greening the green. Students have looked at, again, food waste issues. There's some students who are looking at the use of plastic straws on campus. There's been studies around transportation that have been done. So largely we've responded to what the interests of primarily the students and a little bit the faculty and staff. So those are some of the things that have happened. On the education research side, there's a lot of different things happening right now. First of all, on the education side, we're looking at a new interdisciplinary graduate program in sustainability. We've talked about sort of creating minors at the undergraduate level, maybe certificate programs. And on the research side, we have a group of people who are looking at expanding our solar, use of solar on rooftops. We have a group that's looking at how we can create energy out of some of the food waste, particularly from the Caesar Rodney Dining Common. So those are a couple of the ongoing efforts in terms of research projects. I think that one of the greatest challenges anyone who graduates from here or anyone who's living in our country faces in the future is this issue of sustainability, which is really a very broad-based idea. I mean, it's not just the environment, it's also the economy, it's also social justice issues. To really have a thriving society, you have to be sustainable, and I think no matter what your major is, I think you're going to want to understand what that means and understand how you can address that. I know when I look at where our students go for employment these days and talk to employers that I constantly hear employers saying they want people who understand sustainability. So I think it's really crucial that we build it into our curriculum. I think it's something that everyone who leaves the University of Delaware is going to want to know something about sustainability, whether their major is English or history or chemistry or engineering or health sciences. They're all going to deal with aspects of sustainability. So.
Well, I think this is really important because you're going to go on and you're going to take a job somewhere, and that whatever place wherever you're going to work, you can introduce sustainable practices into the place where you work. No matter if you're working, you're working in Congress, you're working in the private sector, you're working in manufacturing. There's a need there, and so there's always going to be a place for your background among your other skills. A place for your philosophy and your commitment to the earth.
The University of Delaware offers a variety of tools to get educated and engaged in sustainability. From related majors and minors to registered student organizations, there are ample ways for students to get involved and to make a difference on the campus. While these resources are abundant, not many students are aware of them, and so we will take some time to share the information with you. Starting with minors that are labeled as environmental, there's environmental energy and policy, environmental engineering, environmental humanities, environmental soil science, and environmental sustainability. Along with those, there is sustainable energy technology, sustainable infrastructure, and wildlife ecology and conservation. There are also some minors which you might not realize have close ties to sustainability, such as coastal and marine geoscience, marine studies, meteorology and climatology, and public policy. We understand that it can be difficult for some students to pick up an extra minor for various reasons. One of the great things about UD is that you can take classes from these minors without pursuing the minor itself. There are almost 100 sustainability and environmental related courses scattered across the various colleges, and almost all of them can be worked into your degree. If you're unsure how to do this, just bring it up to your academic advisor or send an email to Dr. Ismat Shah of the ENEP department expressing your interest. You can see some of these classes available for you, but remember that this isn't an exhaustive list in any way. If you want more information on available classes, go to the UD course search and look up sustainability or environment. Remember, everyone at UD is required to take at least 3 breadth requirements, and many of these classes fall under those categories. Now is the perfect time for you to plan them into your college experience. Just take a look at all the classes available and you're sure to find one that interests you. RSOs, or Registered Student Organizations, are another great way to get involved on campus. From the engagement side, there's the Students for the Environment, Wildlife Society, and more, which volunteer to clean up our environment. Go ahead and look into these more on the UD RSO website. If you're interested in the research aspect, the UD Energy Institute and the Delaware Environmental Institute work towards changing the future of sustainability and tackling environmental challenges. As we finish up this discussion of all the options available for you to learn more about sustainability, we'll reiterate that all the things listed here are not all the opportunities you have available on campus. Sustainability is such a large aspect of our daily lives, and it will soon impact everybody in tremendous ways. If you have even the slightest inclination to learn more about anything we've spoken about in this video, please pursue your interests. Reach out to upperclassmen, advisors, and professors, and they will be excited to help you find something that suits your needs. There is room for every single person in the world of sustainability.